So hello, I just wanted to point out a few questions that you might ask to help you in picking what kinds of projects you could do for your personal technology projects. The first question is I would always take it from a perspective of what do you need to be able to teach better? Not necessarily what technologies are really, fun looking or something, and so you want to check them out, although that can maybe be part of it. But more importantly, what is difficult for you to teach or for your students to learn? Or maybe what do you think you could teach significantly better if you had the use of some kind of technology? So maybe take it from a content perspective, I think is usually the best way to go. And then ask these kinds of questions, and they should be familiar to you as we talked about them earlier in an assignment. Will this technology enhance learning or will it just be eye candy? It should do more than just enhance learning, even if it's just enhancing engagement and motivation, but in a real way, not just because it's flashy and eye candy, because that kind of motivation wears off pretty soon. But if it's true motivation, that would be fine too. But something to enhance learning, enhance the way people learn, their ability to think deeply, to work together with others, to collaborate, to access different kinds of materials, something to enhance their learning. You need to be concerned about accessibility. Is the technology accessible to everyone? And I think in most cases it probably is if you're reasonable about this. I lived in Georgia for a while. It was the poorest county in the state, and Georgia is one of the poorest states in the Union. We had a really high poverty rate, but yet teachers could still use some technology, and if there was an internet-based assignment, the kids that didn't have computers just went to the library and used the computers there and were able to do fine. So think about accessibility. Make sure that the students have access to it somehow, and if they do, then that should be all right. And then try to make sure that it improves your students being active learners. Not just a technology to help us be better lecturers, but a technology to help our students actually do stuff and get involved and be active in the learning process is the best way to go. And then I think it's really good to look for technologies that help you teach in maybe a new way. Teach something that you couldn't have taught in any other way. An example is in science. Many of you are probably familiar with the virtual chem lab that we use here on campus. That's a really cool tool because there are many things that you learn by going into a lab and just blowing stuff up. That's a great way to learn, but unfortunately it's a dangerous way to learn in the real life. So we use a virtual chem lab so students can go into that simulation and start blowing things up in a virtual way and they're safe. And so that enables kinds of teaching and kinds of learning that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And you see similar kinds of things in other subject areas where, for example, in English, there might be ways to access and analyze and find connections between data that allow you to write and produce new ideas in different ways than you'd be able to do otherwise. And social studies, the ability to be able to see authentic first generation artifacts, that you wouldn't be able to see and handle normally, like the Joseph Smith papers. You normally wouldn't be able to handle those kinds of historical artifacts, but you can through the technology be able to see the handwriting and see the actual artifact virtually. So there's lots of kinds of technologies that will enable us to teach in ways that we maybe wouldn't be able to otherwise. Keep your eyes open for those kinds of things. And not that you necessarily have to address all of these, but the more of these you address, the better your project's going to be, the better the technology is going to be to help you be a better teacher. So down below, I have a link to what I call the PTP website, the Personal Technology Project website. This is a website we put together as teachers just to share some of the technologies that you could do for your project if you wanted to. But you definitely can find other technologies if you want to too. Just email us if you have a technology that you really want to learn and that you think is going to be helpful for you as a teacher. Just email us and we'll work out how many points it would be worth and how you might go about doing that. And we want to be very flexible with you so that you can pursue what you're interested in for this project. But here are a few ideas that you can maybe look at. So for example, if you're an English person, you'd go to this website, and once again the link is below, and you go to English Language Arts, click on that, and it pulls up here, and you can see I've got some technologies that I call recommended, ones that I think are probably the best one for most of you, best ones. And you can see how many points they're worth, 5 to 10 points, 10 points, 5 points. And remember, you have to do, I think it was 15 points total in this assignment, so it's probably 2 projects worth. Although there are a few technologies that are so complicated that they're worth 15 just on their own. But most of the technologies are worth 5 to 10 points. And if you found a new technology, you just would have to negotiate with us how many points that would be worth. But each of these that have a link, that links to a page that will give you some tutorials for being able to do the assignment, and being able to rubric, maybe what you might look for to do the assignment. But in general, the rubric is the same for all of them. You learn the technology, find some tutorials. You can look at the tutorial website that we've been using all semester long. That's kind of where we're moving in the future, to doing that instead of this website. We feel like it's a better way to do it. But so find some tutorials, learn about the technology, find a way to create something and share it with me and with others, and then reflect on your website about what it is you learned and how you would use that technology in your teaching. That's basically the rubric right there. And so you can look through here. Let me just kind of run through some of these most popular ones for English students. History students, social studies students, I'll get to you guys in just a minute, so if you want to skip ahead to the next part of this video, skip forward a little bit, I'll talk about some of your technologies. But for English and language arts, Diigo is a great one, because you do a lot of research in English, a lot of research on the internet. And what Diigo is a little button that you stick in your browser, and then when you find a website that you think is interesting, you push that button and it saves that website into your little personal database. And you can access that database from any computer and even on your iPad or Android device. So anywhere you go, you have access to all of your bookmarks, which is really nice, so that your bookmarks aren't tied to one specific computer. Even better, after you bookmark something, it allows you to highlight and annotate the web page. So you can actually make notes on the web page, notes that you see and nobody else will. But you can also form groups and share your bookmarks and your notes on those bookmarks with other people in the group. So it's a great way to do collaborative research for a paper. So that's one thing that a lot of people do. A lot of other English students, similarly, I think it might be down here below, but Mendeley, a lot of English students like Mendeley, which is a technology for handling citations and for reading PDFs, annotating PDFs, creating citations in MLA format or something like that, putting them into a paper. So that's a technology as well that is useful for many. Mind mapping is a great technology for doing pre-writing kinds of exercises, where you have people try to find connections among ideas before they start writing. And the nice thing about something like a MindMeister or a Webspiration is that they can do this collaboratively online. So you can have groups form mind maps together and then share those mind maps with you so that you can assess them and evaluate them. We talked a little bit about podcasting and some of the options there for English majors. Social networks as well, some of the options there. We have an interactive whiteboard, a Promethean board here in the computer lab that you're welcome to use. And if you need to schedule a time to make sure that nobody else is using the classroom, we can do that. And you can go in there. We've got tutorials for you on the tutorial website that can show you how to do that. And you can go and do a project with interactive whiteboards. The assignment there would be basically to create, I think they call them flashcard decks or something like that, but create a flashcard deck for for something that you would want to teach, and be able to demonstrate that you can use various aspects of the whiteboard that way. The Promethean boards also have iClickers available, so you can also, if you want to learn how to use iClickers, do something like that. iBooks Author is another option that we thought would be kind of interesting. That's a free application on the Macs, and we have Macs down in the computer lab. And basically it works kind of like a PowerPoint or a Microsoft Publisher or something like that. But you drag pictures and text onto this page, onto the pages, and then you can create books that way and publish the books to your iPad or share them with others like students or parents. It's a great way if you wanted to do writing projects with your students and then have them share those writing projects as a book with their parents or the community. It could be kind of fun. Other technologies, like I said, that you can look at, and you're free to look through these and find ones that you're interested in. Dictation software, useful for people that maybe have disability issues, if you have students like that. Being able to dictate and then it'll transcribe what you dictate, or do reverse read something that's on the computer out loud so students can listen to things. Google Groups, Prezi, online posters, creating a poster related to, like, say, a Shakespeare play, and then sharing those posters back and forth. It's a way to, once again, get at themes within a piece of writing. Video annotation could be fun and interesting. Like I said, Mendeley, I have it here twice, Collaborative Reference Manager, different things, digital storytelling, PowerPoint, games, web conferencing. And then these are some interesting ones for English teachers as well. Allows you to be able to do things like find data sets and find relationships among the data, which can be helpful for analyzing data sets and writing papers and doing things like that. So some various options and lots more out there that you can look at. And if there's one that you're particularly interested in and you can't find a tutorial on our tutorial website, or you can't find it from anywhere else on the internet, just email me and we'll create a tutorial for you. So for the history social studies students, now I got some technologies for you as well. One that's really highly recommended, and I think it's even worth 15 points because it has a lot to it. But creating virtual field trips in Google. What a great way for students to be able to get to know their own community, or also get to know places that they won't be able to visit in person. But you can add photos, links, video clips to place marks, so you can have them click on place marks, go there, see it in the Google Earth interface, and then watch videos and photos and things like that related to it. It's a great way to learn about parts of the world. Doing similar kinds of things, GPS field trip, kind of like a geocaching, but having them find art or places in your community that are of historical significance or maybe social significance. Voki, Blabberize, these are different ways of communicating, basically internet communication technologies. Glogster, you can create posters that you can share and students can share back and forth and vote on. Posters can represent different topics or themes that you're talking about, use them maybe as a way to review concepts in a unit that you're talking about. Diigo, that I mentioned a little bit with the English students, it's a great way to be able to find bookmarks, share them to your database so that you can access your web bookmarks from any computer and from any Android or mobile device, and then be able to share your bookmarks with people in a group along with your notes. You can actually highlight and annotate the web page and share that with the people in your group. Makes it really good for collaborative research kinds of projects. We've talked a little bit about podcasting, social networks. You can do something like that. Web quests, which are creating little mysteries activities online for students to do. You give them clues, give them resources to be able to find things on the internet, and then they have to solve problems. That can be very useful. Google Groups, doing video annotation, PowerPoint games, photo editing can be useful for social studies kinds of situations. iClickers, using something like Polls Everywhere, which is it's basically iClickers, but you use their cell phones, so they don't have to buy clicker machines, and it works really well. And web conferencing, if you wanted to bring in a professional on a particular topic and have them talk to your students, great way to show them how the world can come into the classroom. So there are some interesting history social studies ones. You can also just create different things to look at historical artifacts, maybe create a virtual tour that way, or a virtual museum of artifacts that you create on a website where you link out to simulated artifacts, and that could be a useful kind of a thing as well. So I'm interested in your ideas too. If you have other ideas of things that you may want to do, just propose them to me, and more than likely we'll be happy to entertain them.